Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very senior professional from Bangalore, India, Mr. H.C. Uday Shankar. Uday, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
I hope to share my experiences in this show.
Thank you. Uday is the founder and member of the advisory board of TLRNOW. TLR stands for Team, Lead, and Roar Now. Uday is also a soft skills trainer, a journalist, a voiceover artist, and an author. So, Uday, let's talk for a few minutes about TLR now, and then we'll move to soft skills. Tell me about the venture and what was your motivation to start it?
Right. Now, the motivation to start TLR now was the fact that the training was not an area that was properly addressed in India. Because, see, I'm also on the board of a few interviews, and I see that some brilliant people, absolutely brilliant students who are very good in their functional areas, they're finding it difficult to express themselves, convey what was intended to be conveyed.
Right.
And then I thought, and I knew also that there was a big void, there was a big gap. As you know, Ashutosh, every year, I think close to 1.5 million graduates are passing out of the universities, right? And they are competing for jobs. And they realize the efficacy of soft skills when they enter the big, bad world of business. Right? So, that was the motivation to provide good training. And, well, the thoughts were good, but who's going to bell the cat?
Correct.
Right. Honestly, I didn't have an answer. So thanks to my writing, and I write a lot on LinkedIn. I'm sure that you would have gone through some of the posts.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes help comes from unlikely quarters. And one day there was a gentleman who phoned to me and said, my name is Uday Trivedi, and I would like to start a company in training, mentoring, and coaching. And I'm looking for somebody to join me.
Okay.
I said yes, and the rest is history.
Rest is history. Wonderful. So, Uday, before going any deeper in soft skills, for my viewers and listeners, help me understand what is a soft skill.
See, there was a time, Ashutosh, when the functional areas ruled supreme. In fact, they had a pride of place.
Correct.
And soft skills in our times, I'm talking of the early 70s, was non-existent. I mean, I didn't even know what soft skills, the meaning of soft skills was. Now, soft skills is a skill which helps you get along with people. Yeah. A very general statement. But now, coming to the niceties and nuances of soft skills, it is a skill which will help you in your career, especially when you're in an office. You face a different set of challenges. You need to talk to people. You need to build a bridge, build relationships, and you get into team management and so many other things. So this is where these additional set of skills called soft skills, they come into play.
Very interesting.
And and the most important of these soft skills is the communication skills. Right, the overarching communication skills, the mother of all skills, the skill that is most in demand in any part of the world. And the rest are like the tributaries, right? The negotiation skills, public speaking, presentation, they're all offshoots of these communication skills. So in short, Ashutosh, to answer your point, soft skills are a set of skills which will help you get along with life.
Very interesting. And the assumption also here is that some of these soft skills have not been acquired at home, in our school or college. Would that be right?
Yes, it is right to a great extent. Yes, because when you ask me a question, I always go back to the period when I was born.
Correct.
Right. So, but however, that should not be an excuse for the Generation X.
Yeah.
Because certainly you have a distinct advantage if your parents teach you soft skills. Right. However, suppose let's take an example where your parents do not teach you soft skills. Soft skills, if you're interested, can be learned by observation and association.
Well said.
I have written a post on this, Ashutosh. Maybe after this meeting, I'll just send you a link. That, take my case. I didn't know what soft skills were until I went to Tokyo on on an assignment. And there I saw soft skills exhibited by or shown by the Japanese in every part of their life.
Correct.
Right? Suppose, let's say that when you're entering the lift, the Japanese, they bow and then they see that you enter first. Okay. And then maybe I can call it closer home in America because now America and India are so close. Soft, if you have observed, they speak very slowly. Right? They don't raise their volumes.
Correct.
So these are some of the skills that can be acquired by observation.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And tell me, from a TLRNOW perspective, which are some of the soft skills you work with? I mean, communication is important, how you behave with people, recognizing what may offend somebody could be there. What are some of the areas you work with?
Personally, I work in the communication skills, the negotiation skills, and a very interesting area, Ashutosh, is the voice ability.
Okay.
You can use your voice to impress people.
Correct.
You can use your voice to go higher up in the ladder by just altering the tone of your voice. Because as you know, the tone conveys the emotions.
Well said.
And besides that, of course, the communication skills is something that I conduct a 2-day program, 4-day program. And besides the communication skills, I also run programs on accents.
Okay.
Right. Now, this was a case where a company, a software company based out of Mysore, was having a problem with their associates. Most of them, they came from the rural areas of Karnataka. And they had an Australian client. And he couldn't understand their English. And they couldn't make sense out of what the Australian was saying. So there I conducted what is known as an accent training program. It was a 2-day program. And there I handled both the US accent and the Australian accent. Now, let's move slightly higher, Ashutosh, right? Now, how do you use communication for productivity at a higher level?
Okay.
Right. So here what we do is we stress on both the written communication because sometimes one word makes a lot of difference.
Correct.
Right. And the art of writing is something that I also teach.
Wonderful.
So all this put together with a view to inculcate leadership qualities in the associates so that they are beneficial to the company, which in turn affects positively the top line and the bottom line, because everything today is in terms of business.
Well said. Well said. And based on all your experience, Uday, what are some of the areas you have observed that Indians need to be trained in with specific reference to soft skills?
Right. See, Indians, I'm telling you, as I told you, I mean, I don't hold it against them because, most of our...
No, nothing against you and I are both Indians. So nothing being held against anyone. Absolutely.
Because most of them, they come from the rural background.
Right.
First of all, I think, again, as I say, that they need to understand the culture. When a young man comes from a rural background to a city background, he has to quickly adapt to the culture. Okay. Now, let me give you an example, and that would be better.
Yeah.
See, when I went to the United States, I was working with an IT major based out of South. There, I saw that the way they work is totally different from what we do here in India. There, you cannot barge into somebody's room. And they do not use the office phone for making personal calls.
Correct.
And they don't use the office photocopier or the Xerox machine for personal errands, and personal jobs. So the one thing that I'm emphasizing is that you learn the culture of the land, how they operate, and quickly try to absorb those things. And as I'm sure you know, Ashutosh, that when you compose a mail and write in the United States, you have to be very, very careful.
Correct.
I mean, you can't use any word and every word, and especially expletives and all that. They'll press charges against you.
Correct.
So the Indians, as I told you, lack some of them. But then that cannot be an excuse. Ignorance is not bliss.
Correct.
So what they have to do is they have to put in, a lot of hard work. And maybe take a training or two on soft skills, which will shorten the learning curve. Right. And then they have to increase the power of observation. Quickly assimilate what is going on. Oh, this is the culture of the country.
Very interesting, Uday. And you gave me two examples of phones and photocopiers.
Right.
And I've written about this in my first book when I founded Guardian Pharmacy.
Right.
And I'd find photocopying machines being used for personal use, and people would leave 100 pages of photocopied paper as junk.
You're right.
But my question to you is that these are also ethical issues.
Right.
How is ethics connected with soft skills?
Right. See, ethics is something that is, I think, deeply ingrained in people like us, because our parents, or rather my parents, they came from a middle-class background.
Absolutely.
My mother was a teacher all her life. Right? And she was a triple MA. MA English, MA Education, the MA in Physics, MSc Physics, I beg your pardon. And then she came out with flying colors. So my parents taught me a few things. Is be honest. Doesn't matter. You may not be successful to the extent where you find some of the celebrities flaunting their BMWs and their Mercedes-Benz. But at least you'll have a good night's sleep.
Correct.
That's what my father told me.
Absolutely.
So honesty, integrity, and the ability to help somebody, or the propensity to help somebody when he is in dire straits. That is what my parents taught me. And I'll tell you a very nice incident, Ashutosh, especially when I was working in Bombay. So I was the IT chief of a petroleum major. Right? And I used to decide contracts worth crores of rupees. So one day, this gentleman comes to my home. Just imagine, with a briefcase full of currency notes. And he says, Sir, aap ye lijiye. Then I asked him, what is this? Then he says, no, sir, kuch bhi nahi hai. I could understand that. Then I told him, look here, mister. And I didn't lose my cool. See, this is one of those soft skills. People create a scene there, get red in the face, abuse him. And what do you think I am? That can you buy me out? None of that. I told him, my dear friend, see, God has given me enough money. I'm no Birla Tata, right? I don't need this. And the second thing, what I wanted to tell you is, money cannot buy everything, right? The case that I have worked out where I had given him an order is purely on merit and nothing else. So these are some of the traits that are deeply ingrained in us, and we cannot, shift from that, Ashutosh. Right? These are the guiding stars for people like me. And I mean, to cut a story short, money isn't everything in life.
I agree. So two related questions for you, Uday.
Yeah.
One is on culture. There are parts of a country where people can be far more abrasive than they would be in other parts of the country.
Right.
How does culture impact soft skills?
See, culture, according to me, positively impacts soft skills. And if you, for example, Bangalore is a melting point, right? It's a melting pot, rather. You have so many North Indians and who come here and they work in big companies. But surprisingly, when they see, the docile and soft-spoken South Indians, the Bangaloreans, I'm not saying this because I'm a Bangalorean.
No, that's okay.
Because I was born and brought up in Hyderabad, of course. Then what they do is they quickly change tracks, right? And adapt to the new culture. That is something very, very positive. See, you might have a particular culture, but please be ready to change, at least for that time when you're in that region. When I went to the United States, my volume automatically went down by, let's say, about 30%. And I would maintain a distance between them because, in India, we come very close. There, even when they jog, they maintain distance. They say too close for comfort. That's something that the Americans do not, somehow appreciate.
Correct.
So, as you said, culture has a bearing on your soft skills. However, for a moment, let's assume that, it has no bearing. There's nothing that prevents you from changing and adapting to the new environment.
Well said. In fact, this has often been quoted that when we people go to Singapore,
right,
we start putting our, what do you call it, sweet wrapper or whatever wrappers in our pocket. And the moment we come back home, we throw it out.
I know, because you're fine there.
The things have changed now.
Yes.
But my next question to you there is there a difference when it comes to soft skills between genders?
I don't think, Ashutosh.
You don't think so?
Yeah, my personal opinion is it all depends on the person. So be it a man or a woman. It always depends on their interest levels. Right. And of course, I know the general assumption is that women are very soft, but you may be soft, but you must also be assertive.
Well said.
I have worked with both genders, and I think soft skills is gender agnostic.
Well said. So then let me now move to your book. And all my viewers and listeners know that I am very partial to authors. Tell me about your book.
All right. Ashutosh, I must thank COVID for these books.
Okay.
Because, of course, all my life, I was a journalist. I used to write for papers like the Times, the Indian Express, and I was writing for the Data Quest also, the technical magazine, right? Sorry, come back on the question, please.
No, so I wanted to ask you about your books.
Right.
And what your hypothesis was for the books.
Right. So I had a lot of time during the COVID, and I thought that this was one unfulfilled desire of mine to write a book. And I utilized this time and wrote 2 books, right? I'll start with the first one, which goes by the title, Untold Tales from the Mahabharata. You have a lot of books written about Mahabharata, but here I was trying to write about anecdotes and stories that were largely unknown to people. And they were unheard of. So in short, I wanted to tell them a story that they hadn't heard in the past.
Okay.
So that was the book. And the second book, of course, was Ancient Secrets of Soft Skills Unraveled.
Wow. Okay.
I think maybe I'll send you the book also, since you're a book lover. See, I'm working in a particular area, Ashutosh. I thought I would share with you that I'm trying to apply the learnings of the epics, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and from those period days of Chanakya, Buddha, and Solomon, King Solomon, who dispensed justice. And I'm trying to draw lessons from them and present them as solutions to the present day problems.
Very interesting.
Right. So that is the book, the second book that I wrote. Maybe it's close to what we are speaking. And I was lucky that both books were published in a space of about 9 months.
Wow.
And they were published by the well-known label Bloomsbury, the Harry Potter people. So that was certainly a singular achievement, a milestone for me, writing a book. And especially when you hold your book in your hand, it's a great feeling, I must say.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Yeah. So they have time for one more question.
Yeah, please.
And this is for the many people who will listen to our conversation. Based on your amazing journey in so many different fields, what would you say are 3 lessons you want our viewers and listeners to take away from your journey and our conversation?
Okay. First of all, you don't stop learning. Knowledge is a bottomless reservoir.
Yeah.
And you keep on filling it by the day, the hour, the minute, and the second.
Correct.
Because it is precisely this knowledge which helps you.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to you today, it's because of some knowledge that I had acquired.
Correct.
Maybe in the past.
Right.
Second, and I'm a strong believer in this fact that you need to cultivate your relationships. Keep on networking and build your relationship for the simple reason, Ashutosh, that you don't know when some contact will come to help you.
Correct.
And I can tell you from my personal experience that some of my contacts with whom I was communicating some 3 or 4 years, they called me. They called me and said, Uday, I read about you through LinkedIn. I came to know about you. And in case you're interested in doing a training program, we would be interested.
Very interesting.
So do not foreclose your relationship, right? Maybe they might not answer. They might not respond, but keep it open, right? Keep it open.
Very interesting.
And the third thing, and I think I should credit my parents for having taught me, right? You try to share your knowledge as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because knowledge is not some gold that is, in a safe deposit vault in Fort Knox. Right? Knowledge has to be shared. And not only sharing knowledge, you must ensure that the knowledge that you have shared adds value to their life. Or wipes a tear off their face and helps them climb the ladder to higher and higher positions.
How wonderful.
These are the 3 things, as I told you, that I have been following these edicts, if I might call it.
Very nice.
This is what, I really credit my parents, they have inculcated all these thoughts in me. And in fact, honestly, that lure for money is not there.
Very good. Very good. Uday, on that note and your 3 amazing lessons, don't stop learning. Knowledge is a bottomless reservoir. Cultivate your relationships and share your knowledge as widely as possible. Thank you so much for speaking to me about TLRNOW. Thank you for speaking to me about soft skills. It was quite a fascinating conversation to understand so many different soft skills that we all need to develop. And what was reassuring for me was that what you said, that soft skills can be acquired and developed given the right kind of inputs. And finally, thank you so much for speaking to me about your books. Congratulations on your books. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you, Ashutosh, and hope to meet you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.